Okay, now part two. Oh, this is so good. I normally save the Pete's for a special thing, right? Because it's like really good coffee, way better than the basic Giant Eagle stuff or the McCafe. But I don't know. I just needed a little bit of a pick me up today, and I was like, yeah, today's the day for some Pete's. I need Pete's in my throat. Anyways, uh, I I don't know if Caleb is really a right wing grifter. As I said in part one, it just had nice symmetry for that, and you got to condense deeper thoughts into simple, overt statements for shorts, which is why I've always hated shorts, right? I don't watch them because I don't feel like you can really get much valuable information in just 3 minutes. I'm the type of person that will absolutely just watch a 2 hour Diary of a CEO upload while I fold clothes or something, or a hour and a half long Veritasium video on the Goldbach conjecture or something like that. So for me, shorts are pointless unless it's Emily yelling at me to do push-ups. But how long do you need to yell at someone to do push-ups, right? Uh, Most of the stuff I talk about and want to commentate on can't fit into a simple 3 minutes. I very rarely watch videos that are less than 20 minutes. And I used to love D'Angelo's witty commentary. Now, uh, some of the slop tubers have already started uh, cooking him. I think I want to draw a specific distinction real quick between slop tubers and commentary channels, right? Commentary channels are people like D'Angelo, Atozi, where they do, I don't want to say that slop tubers don't do research, but these channels go to a higher level of research, right? Atozi is visiting other countries to go be at court cases and things like that. Whereas while slop tubers will do some research, it's mostly like finding old Twitter posts and things like that. Also, slop tubers really mostly focus on internet drama, where while sometimes commentators will talk about that, they do it more from a philosophical standpoint and or ideological standpoint, and there's a difference. We could talk about that in a moment. Or and less for an entertainment perspective, whereas for slop tubers, it's all about the cinema. So some of the like top slop tubers, you've got More Pegasus is probably the goat slop tuber. Then you've got people like WestJet, and then you've got people that kind of bridge the gap a little bit. Like I guess Pyrocynical's more on the slop tuber side, and there was an example of someone else I had that um, is kind of a slop tuber, but not 100%. But I'm losing it. I've got a lot of work to do, and I'm exhausted right now. So my point is, though, there's an important distinction in my mind between commentary channels and slop tubers, and it's like the distinction between a square and a rectangle. A square is a rectangle, but a rectangle is not a square necessarily. So, in the same way that slop tubers are all commentary channels, not all commentary channels are slop tubers. So I would say that D'Angelo has historically been a commentary channel, but it almost seems like he's more becoming a slop tuber. I guess if you can't beat him, join him, right? And I don't know what's going on, but he's just not funny anymore. He doesn't sound intelligent anymore. And even the slop tubers are saying he just sounds very egotistical and holier than thou. And it's like, where did this come from? My guess is the septum piercing. That's a joke, kind of. If you don't understand that, just look up nose ring theory and it'll all make sense. Uh, my point is, though, I think this kind of drama content where one content creator makes a 4-hour video just talking about how he doesn't like someone else's content is the lowest hanging fruit. And there's nuance to this, right? D'Angelo being mad that Caleb gets a bunch of financial idiots to come on Financial Audit and point out to the world how they're financial idiots is just pointless. You're not going to get him to stop. You're only going to signal boost his channel, if anything. And more importantly, you're just feeding him content to continue doing the same thing, right? Because apparently Caleb responded with his own 4-hour video, and then I think D'Angelo responded to Caleb's 4-hour video with a video that I don't know is how long. I don't know all the specifics. I watched a 20-minute Sensitive Society video, who's a slop tuber, just summing up the things while I was eating my breakfast. And I think it's utterly ridiculous that this stupid beef is happening. And it's all D'Angelo's fault, by the way, right? D'Angelo fired the first shot and then is also like trying to play the victim when when Caleb hammered back. And I find it disappointing, to say the least. I've lost all respect for D'Angelo. I have to admit, I only watched like one of his videos since his comeback, and he seems to have lost the spark of life, is just the best way to describe it. It's like they scooped out his brain and replaced him with an NPC. It's Invasion of the Body Snatchers, you know? He's not funny anymore. He's not insightful anymore. He's not witty anymore. It's like he's just a disgusting little leftist troll at this point. And I don't understand what happened to him while he was gone. Uh, and it sucks because I have no interest in watching Caleb Hammer content except for some of the random clips where people are just like, yeah, I have a $20,000 Pokemon card budget or things like that. Just to see the ridiculous degeneracy of these financially illiterate people, right? But I don't I've never watched a financial audit video, like the whole episode, nor do I think I ever will. I do follow Caleb on Twitter, primarily because I think it's kind of funny. to watch him farm the idiots that try beefing with him. I don't think people realize that that type of person is not someone you want to beef with, because they're just going to turn you into content. If you're like raging out that he's mad that he makes fat people look fat or fatter in his thumbnails, then he is just going to clown on you and farm you for content. If you really, really don't want to see that kind of content, just don't engage with it, right? Because by talking about it, one, you're signal boosting his channel, not just to your own viewers, but to everyone that is going to cover the beef. And two, by going and watching that content in the first place, you're giving him views and ad revenue. It might only be one and a tiny bit, but it's there nonetheless. So just, if you really don't agree or engage with that content, just forget about it. That's what I did with Phil DeFranco when he started lying, obviously. Like, there was a point where I would watch every Phil DeFranco episode. I, at one point, called him the Walter Cronkite of our generation. And then there were like 3 videos in a row where he just caught telling obvious lies to support the Democrats. And I was like, you know what? I'm blocking this guy. I told YouTube never to show me any of his videos ever again, and I haven't talked about him since then. I made one commentary video, I think, or maybe 2 commentary videos. One was like, hey, this is unacceptable, Phil. Like, people see you as a reliable news source and sometimes the voice of reason. Please stop doing this. And then the second one was like, hey, you didn't stop doing it, I'm done. And neither of them were 4 hours, right? So that is the other thing I wanted to talk about, right? I said there's a little bit of nuance here. The other flip side of that is something like the content nuke, where it's not just beef over the way the content is presented, some kind of a little thing that most people aren't going to care about, right? Because Caleb Hammer has been doing his thing wide out in the open for the internet to see for years now. And if he were going to get canceled, he would have gotten canceled by now. You know, you're not going to cancel him, D'Angelo. I don't know who you think you are, but you lost your superpowers when you cut off your hair the same way Samson did. So, something with the content nuke, though, that served 2 purposes. The first purpose was to call out things that were actually harmful, right? Hassan's promotion of terrorism. Because a lot of people know who Hassan is, but most people don't watch his content unless they're just utterly filled up with that leftist brain rot. The same way that people know who Nick Fuentes is, but most people don't watch his content unless they're filled up with that right-wing brain rot. So taking all that stuff that he says and putting it together, where he's just actively promoting terrorism and violence against sitting government officials, that was an important reveal, right? Things that the general internet wasn't aware of. I don't think there's anyone on the internet that hasn't heard of Caleb Hammer that doesn't know exactly what he does already. So by beefing with that guy, all you're doing is informing more people of his content, so more people can go watch it if that's the type of circus they want to see, you know, because it really is basically a circus over there. They even have women that look like sad clowns on there. I'm not kidding. Just like some of the most ridiculous makeup and stuff. And the it was so disingenuous the way D'Angelo framed everything that I lost all respect for him. When he originally came back with his new look and new channel vibes and lack of personality, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to move on and not say anything. This dude is kind of over, I guess. I don't know what happened to him, but somehow he lost his soul and he's just been replaced by an agent of the Matrix. I'm kidding, but I've got. I'm not talking like Andrew Tate stuff. I'm talking like the movie The Matrix, when like Agent Smith just starts actually taking over people's brains and stuff. Uh, but I was like, whatever. It was a little disheartening, a little disappointing. I was just like, I'm just gonna move on to people that are actually creating good, engaging content, actual critiques of society, things like that, stuff that either fulfills me or entertains me. And D'Angelo and Caleb both do neither of those things, right? I feel like D'Angelo at one point was a great commentary channel, but now he has sunk to Caleb's level, and honestly, even lower, right? Caleb says some ridiculous things that I will never support, but in the end, his purpose, or at least his stated purpose, is to promote financial literacy and responsibility. And I don't agree with the methods, but it works for him. And maybe he's helped some people learn. I would want to know if he's done like a retrospective, brought some people back and been like, so how has this been working for you? I think he's brought a couple people back a few times that it wasn't working for, just to make fun of them again. But I would like to know if he did a revisitation of someone and been like, so you put your life back together. Tell us how it worked, right? I would love to see that. If anyone knows of a Caleb Hammer video like that, let me know, because I would possibly watch that. I would like to hear testimonial about how Caleb Hammer actually helped someone instead of just making fun of them for content for his YouTube. But my point is really that we don't need this kind of content where you have two, and it falls squarely on D'Angelo, in my opinion. I don't blame Caleb for responding and farming D'Angelo's crash out, because, to be honest, if D'Angelo would have made a 4 hour video about me for some reason and it managed to land on my radar, I probably would have watched the whole thing on stream and responded to it just for content. And also because, like, part of it would be out of curiosity, mostly out of curiosity, right? There are definitely things like that I wouldn't engage with, considering certain situations or topics. But for the most part, if someone is going to spend 4 hours ranting about me, I kind of want to know why, right? And I feel like that would be a fun thing to perhaps do with the stream, because I can't imagine just sitting there for 4 hours watching someone rant at me alone in my basement. That would be very depressing, you know? But my whole point is Caleb had a reason to do his video, right? You don't need to respond to it. And in some situations, depending on the whole situation, it's better not to respond to it. But in this situation, considering just how ridiculous it was that D'Angelo started firing shots at him in the first place, I think responding to it was both the smart move and the um, financially literate move. You know, he gets free content because D'Angelo is making a fool out of himself. And it's really sad to see this. I think people need a little bit more self awareness. I think this is what happens when you let your ego get out of control, right? Because there was a time where I felt like D'Angelo was super well reasoned and witty, and yeah, maybe a little bit egotistical, but he seemed to have a handle on it. I don't know what happened on him, what happened to him when he stepped away from YouTube for a while, but it seems like his ego demons have consumed him, and now he's just crashing out about things he has no control over. And that's how you make yourself the biggest fool on the internet. Um, so yeah, I'm very disappointed in D'Angelo. I don't really care about Caleb. He's going to keep doing his stuff. But it's really sad to see someone who I once considered to be one of the best commentary channels on YouTube fall so far, you know? But it is what it is. The demons are everywhere, and they are seeking to claim as many people as they can. So I guess they finally got to D'Angelo. I hope he finds a way back to the light, but I don't know. Anyways, I gotta go do work on the house. So I just want to say make sure you're armed and training. Delete Windows, de Google yourself. I love all of you, and God bless America. Cheers.